Hi folks, thanks for joining me for this week's river tutorial. What you see in the vise is a fly called the Glimmer fly. There's a bit more going on to it than might first appear, so without further ado, let's get into it. In the vise then is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. This one's at size 16. It's black nickel on a medium wire. The bead that's on the hook is a Hanak competition. It's the Eco Plus. It's 2.3 and as you can see it's a copper bead. Now the thread I'm going to be using today is the Veevus GSP. It's the G02 and it's at 30 denier, and as you can see it's a white thread. Now as always with the GSP, first thing I'm going to do is add a tiny spot of super glue to the shank of the hook. And what this does is just help the silk adhere to the hook shank. Wax doesn't cut it with this stuff. Always use super glue. So I've got a nice bed down there now. I've run it up just past the point of the hook and I'm going to remove my waste. Now for the tail of the fly I'm going to be using some trout line. It's Coq De Leon. Unfortunately, while I've got the trout line product in my hand, I had an email the other day from the company saying that they're no longer shipping to the UK directly. So you may have to use a UK distributor if you're after the trout line products. And I think Get Slotted stock trout line, and I believe Uphaven Fly Fishing's about to start stocking. So if you're after any of the trout line gear, that's where to get it. I've got a feather that I've been working with here. And what I'm going to do is take between 4 and 5, up to half a dozen of these fibres. Lovely banded feathers, and they're very light, plenty of movement in them. And I want my tail to come approximately a centimetre past the bend of the hook. I'm going to catch that in, have a check. It's a wee bit short actually, so I'm just going to come back a bit, catch it in again, and that looks a bit better. So I'll just run that up. Now if you follow the channel, many of you be wondering where my on-ramp is that I usually build behind the bead, but I've not done that on this occasion, and there's a fairly good reason for that. I don't want the bulk at the front this time, because there's going to be quite a bit going on with the fly at that area. So next then I'm going to add an underbody, and what I'm using is some Mirage Tinsel in opal. This is the large. Could really do with buying some medium, but I've never got round to it yet. I've got a little bit that I've been working with here. I just prefer the Mirage rather than something like Pearl Lurex. It just adds a little bit more shine. Sorry, just had a little bit of trouble getting that in there. Not concentrating enough. So I've caught that in. So for the rib, if you like, what I'm going to be using is some Peacock Eye fibres. And what I want is 2 strands from there, which I've already taken. Now, the Peacock Eyes, this is a pretty good one actually, but a lot of the time you'll find they're very weak in the tip sections here. What I do is run my fingers up, find the weak point, and it will come away. Then they can be discarded, and generally you've got a much stronger fibre to work with. So I'm going to bring that up the length of the bead pretty much and catch it into place. And that's going to come just in beside my underbody. Then I can bring that all the way up. Next thing then is grab a hold of your underbody, and we're going to bring that up the length of the body. Now because it's large, it doesn't take many turns, to be fair. So when I'm really going at these, it's quite a quick fly to tie actually. I suppose if I was using the medium it would take a little bit longer, but I just find it's a little bit bulky at either end, tying in a tag and tying in at the head here. So a few turns to hold the material into place and a couple of turns in front. Then I can come in with the scissors, put that to the side for the next fly, and then I'm ready to bring this up. Now if I just brought this up as is, it would obviously not be very robust. You know, the first fish that took, that would be coming undone. So what I'm going to do is add a layer of UV resin. This is the Solaris Bone Dry to the body. Doesn't need to be a thick layer, just as long as it's going to hold that peacock herald in place. Now I think I've added just a little bit too much there, and I can't find my bodkin needle, so I'm just going to use the end of my quick finish tool to take away some of that excess. There we go, problem solved. So next I can bring my peacock herald up the body, and you want open turns, because what you want to do is have some of that shimmer coming through the fly to give you the glimmer effect, if you like. So as you can see, I'm using open turns. Now when it's in the water, the peacock herald will mostly pulse closed, and you won't see the glimmer, but now and again it will open up and there'll be a little glimmer which can attract fish to come and have an investigation and hopefully take your fly. So I've just locked that in with a couple of turns and then a couple of turns in front. I'm going to remove my waste. So that's looking pretty good so far. Next then, I'm going to add a little hackle. I'm using this hen cape, and I've selected some feathers from the very bottom of the cape. Not some, one. I've got one here. And what I want to do is just grab my hackle pliers, and I want to just get a hold of the tip like so, not too far down, and then pull all the feathers back, all the fibres back, sorry, so that it exposes an area where I can tie in. So I've now got a little bit of space where I can tie that hackle in, which I'm going to do now. Couple of turns in front, just to hold it into space, into place, not to space. Then I can come in with my snips and take that away. Okay, next I'm going to grab my hackle pliers. Once again, I mean, there's plenty of room here, you can use your fingers. I just feel like I've got a little bit more control with the hackle pliers. So I only want a couple of turns, don't want it too heavily cloaked. Then I can come in and capture that into place. Now this is a fly I actually use quite a bit in the summer months, springtime. It's a great fly for trout. Not found it particularly good on the grayling, but I don't need to worry about that this year, do I? So I've started tying in earnest for the trout season, and hopefully we will get one. So I've got the hackle in place now. Next I'm going to add some dubbing to the head here, and what I'm using is a little mix. It's a mix I keep particularly for this fly. When I used to do the qualifiers and all the England stuff, I used to make up some dubbins, and this was one of them. So I've got a little bit of that dubbing here. I can't tell you what it is because it was that long ago, but basically there's lots of strands in. It's basically squirrel dub, and I've added some UV, some orange, some bits and bobs. But the bag you saw there I've had for about 2 or 3 years, and maybe longer actually, and I only use it for this fly. So you will need to make your own secret dubbing up, but I'm sure it'll be just as effective. So bring that round, and I've just maybe over egged it with a dubbing. Take a wee bit of that away, and then of course before I whip finish I'm going to grab another touch of UV resin, and then I can come in with my whip finish tool and finish off. Like so. And there you have a super effective nymph for the summer months. Don't know how well you can see the little glimmer coming through it, but it's certainly a fly I've got a lot of confidence in. Use it quite a lot July, once I'm allowed to use nymphs on the Avon. This is one of my go-tos in size 16s and size 18. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please think about clicking that button before you go, and I'll see you all next time.